hiring virtual assistants, in short VAs, can significantly help you manage your Amazon business, but many sellers struggle with finding the right VAs. In this video, you will learn essential tips for hiring and delegating tasks to VAs, as well as how to overcome common challenges when working with these people. If you want to find trained virtual assistants for your Amazon business, try VAA Philippines. They provide virtual assistants from Philippines to any aspect of your e-commerce business. So check the link below in the description.
Hello, Gilad. I'm really excited to have you back on Orange Klik YouTube channel today with me to talk about all things virtual assistant that Amazon sellers need to know and actually usually have questions about, but really don't have anyone to ask them and get the right answer. So thanks for joining me today. But before we go to those questions, could you first introduce yourself and also explain how you usually work together with Amazon sellers with your team?
All right. So first of all, hi, LISETT. And my name is Gilad, and I'm the founder and CEO of VAA Philippines. At VAA Philippines, we specialize on Amazon. We recruit virtual assistants from the Philippines, and then we train them specifically to work with Amazon sellers and help them with all the everyday activity. It could be PPC, it could be social media, it could be all the everyday tasks that you can think of on Seller Central and so on. We have more than 700 VAs at VAA Philippines, so I'm going to talk just about a lot of questions that people are asking us on a daily basis on how to work with our VAs, how to work with the VAs that they already have, if they should hire VAs and so on. So it's going to be interesting.
And I guess you're one of the go-to persons Amazon sellers usually go to when it comes to Amazon or like virtual assistants for Amazon sellers, because first of all, you have been in the space for many years already. So you have seen kind of how the Amazon game changes overall and where Amazon sellers really need to put their focus. But you have really also been out there in terms of like educating sellers, going to, taking part of different online events, also the ones we have organized. And also you're always attending different physical events. And I think most recently you went to Amazon Accelerate in Seattle as well. So how was the event and what were kind of the main discussions you had with sellers about virtual assistants?
So in fact, Amazon Accelerate was not even the last event that I was at. You know, it was like ago, but there was another conference after that as well. And that was in Korea. That was also very interesting. I was asked to speak in front of Korean people. It was called Seller Kingdom. And over there, I spoke about how to hire virtual assistants, why it's so important to hire virtual assistants. So in fact, you're right. I'm asked a lot to talk about these topics simply because we have a lot of experience in this and understanding. We work, because of the nature of what we do, we work mainly with high-level sellers, like 7, 8, 9-figure sellers, agencies, aggregators that are using our VAs to handle a lot of accounts and so on. So we get to see how these people think and how they, think faster than their competitors, and they're already used to grow and grow and grow their business. So we take a lot of insights from these companies and help others as well to maintain the same type of mindset, if you will. So that was what I did in Korea. And Accelerate, I wasn't speaking over there. It was only Amazon staff that was speaking on the main stage over there. But it was very, very interesting. They talk a lot about the AIs. They actually talked about virtual assistants. It's the first time that Amazon is introducing Amelia, who's going to be an AI virtual assistant inside of Seller Central. It's like having your own virtual assistant inside of Seller Central, asking Amelia to help you with a lot of things inside of Seller Central, which shows that even Amazon themselves, they are aware of how many things there are on Seller Central, and you have to control everything and to get so many insights and data and so on. So it takes a lot of time, and you actually need a virtual assistant just to handle the inside of it. The only question is, who's handling Amelia? and that's actually what we're now training our VAs, because if it's just another task for the seller to do another thing, then we're not. That's not the idea. The idea is that sellers would focus on growing their business, not on another task that they would have to do on Seller Central. So we're actually now training our VAs on all the AI and new tools that Amazon is releasing, so they could help the sellers even more.
Okay, so as always, keeping up with all of the changes Amazon comes up with. Good to hear. All right, and I mean, we could probably talk for hours about all things regarding VAs, but I think for this video, we kind of wanted to come up with a few main points, few main insights we would like to share with sellers that hopefully will help you to hire your VAs and also manage and work together with them. So I know you kind of gathered those thoughts to a slide deck as well. So go ahead, share your screen with us, and let's start to go over those points and kind of discuss this topic into further details.
It's really gonna be which I try to find like the best 5 questions that we're asked a lot by sellers, either that they're thinking about how to hire a virtual assistant, if they should hire a virtual assistant, or they're already working with a virtual assistant, but they're not really sure that they're doing it correctly. And I'm going to talk about 5 questions here that are repeating themselves. So I'm guessing most of the sellers out there are, thinking about relating to VAs. So this is like what no one tells you about hiring virtual assistants, your essential guide to finding, managing, and maximizing a virtual assistant. And I did want to say a little bit before about me, like I already spoke, so I'm going to do it fast. I just want to emphasize here, first of all, I'm an Amazon seller myself. So everything I'm going to say here is from the point of view of a seller. I started selling on Amazon in 2015, grew the business fast, and needed virtual assistants for myself. So all the beginning, all the hiring that I did was hiring for me as a seller. Only then I started together with my wife to develop VA Philippines. So we're going to use a lot of insights from this in this presentation. So it's already 6 years that we've been doing this, connecting Amazon sellers with virtual assistants. We have over 700 VAs in the Philippines. We're working with over 400 Amazon sellers, mostly intermediate to high or very high level sellers. So yeah, so let's talk about these questions. I think the first question is, can I trust a VA? And can I trust somebody? I sent a message on, a post on, it could be on a Facebook group, it could be on online jobs, it can be on Fiverr, Upwork, wherever. And I got a lot of applicants. And the question is, can I even trust these people, and how do I know they're the right fit? So this is a question I'm asked a lot, and a lot of people are so afraid of this, of hiring the wrong people. Maybe they tried it themselves and they had a better experience. Maybe they heard from other people that their VA left them, and this happens not only in the Philippines, in general. There's a lot of cases that you'll hear somebody that hired a VA, and after about a week or 2 weeks, she just disappeared, went AWOL, or started giving excuses about family member who got sick, internet connection, typhoon here and there, and so many more, which pretty much proved the seller himself that he did a mistake hiring this person. And from there, they go back to phase 0, which is hiring nobody and back to doing everything themselves because they had a bad experience. So and tell me if you had this if you heard about people that hired the wrong VAs or something. But it's pretty often that I hear this question.
I think maybe sellers don't really know even like what skills or like what kind of skill set they're looking to. Like obviously there is like one part of it is like technical skills, right? You want to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, but also there are those other skills, because obviously it's usually a remote position, right? So having like a very good fit to yourself and to your team is very important. So do you have any, would you highlight any skills that you would usually look out for to kind of hire a new VA that would maybe help you understand if the person is also the right fit or like trustworthy for the company?
Yeah. Okay. So I think if we develop this question, I think that first of all, people have to understand that hiring a VA is not hiring your personal Superman. Meaning that if you want, you think for yourself, okay, I need help with social media because I'm not doing social media at the moment. But you know what? I'm actually not doing PPC so much. So maybe that VA will also be doing my PPC and customer service and manage, you know, my Instagram page, and also do, you know, all the everyday work on inside of Sell Essential. Plus, I want to start selling on Walmart. So maybe I'll use the same VA to do Walmart as well. And then you're hoping too much of that one person, that one VA to handle everything. And if you post an ad on these platforms, surprisingly enough, you'll get a lot of people that will say to you that they are experts in all these fields. And you think, wow, you know, it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted the Superman to do all these tasks together. And here there's like 200 people saying that they have this expertise. But that's really the beginning of, you know, of this disappointment, because you're expecting, you know, that, you know, one VA will do all the things that, you know, you yourself are not handling, and you're the owner of the business. So I think it's more realistic to focus on what you want to achieve. What's your concern, and understanding that there are different characters out there in the Philippines, or, you know, for VAs, and it's not one person to manage everything. You know, a PPC person, for example, is usually a very analytical type of person. In such, you have to look for somebody who's really analytic. You know, you have to find somebody who's really good with Excel and numbers and usually coming from this field of work as an analyst or accounting and finance and so on. So you know that this is the right person that you want to hire, compared to if you want to hire a social media BA, then you should be focusing more on finding people that are almost exactly the opposite, you know, character. They should be all very energetic and very creative and think outside of the box and love social media. So it's really like the other side of the brain compared to what you're looking for in a PPC VA. So first of all, decide with yourself who you want to hire and focus on that. That's one thing. Second, and I think this is the most important thing, is do not just focus on experience. In fact, for us at VA Philippines, we spend almost 2 months in finding the right people before we hire them. You know, the recruitment process for us takes almost 2 months. So why? Because we're not looking at their experience so much. If we were just looking at their experience and, you know, asking them, looking at their CVs, sending them a test to see how much they score, and then hiring them based on that, it would take us pretty much like a week or even less than that. The reason why we do it over a period of 2 months is because we discovered over the years that this is actually the least important thing among all the rest. First of all, because people always lie about their CVs. Again, VAs are not exceptional here. There are people, when you want to be hired, you'll play a little bit with your resumes in order to be hired, and especially if you know that this is something done online, and the person that is hiring you, you'll never meet them. So you put whatever you want over there. You put your experience. You know that nobody will actually check your resumes. So actually at VA Philippines, we do check their previous employers, and we call them up on the phone, and we go engage in conversation with them to understand exactly what they did to help the previous seller and why it ended. But most people don't do that. And then you hire only based on the experience, and that's not a way to work. The way to work is to find the people with the best potential. I would be even focusing on people with no experience, but understanding that obviously you'll have to show them what you want them to do, but finding those that will be loyal to you forever, that you feel like they're motivated, they're capable, their English level is perfect, their capabilities, you give them tests about intelligence and the way that they express themselves and motivation. And there are a lot of ways to check that, especially over time. And in a period of 2 months, we are able to see exactly who are the people that we want to hire, that we want them to spend, the next 10 years with us. So we see that they show up day after day after day. We see that they submit all their tasks on time. We see that they put a lot of effort into understanding the questions and the tasks that we give them, and do the extra mile in providing better results and so on. So these are, in my opinion, much more important things compared to just, how many years have you been doing Amazon PPC, or how many years have you been doing shipment management? That's something that could be taught very fast.
That's really good that you brought it up, because that was actually one of my main questions to you today. Like, do you only kind of consider candidates who have previous experience, or are you open to consider others? And I think you gave a perfect answer. How sellers should kind of think about the potential candidates. But you mentioned you have, like, in your own company, the period is quite long where you kind of test and see if the person would be the right fit and what's their motivation. Do you have like a tip to share what kind of tasks sellers could give? Maybe there's some universal task or a question you usually ask each VA, and no matter what the position is you are trying to hire them for.
Yeah, okay. Let's focus on the very basic, like on an Amazon VA, for example. You know, somebody to handle the everyday work on Seller Central. I would start with giving them an assignment inside of Seller Central. First of all, I would want to see how they would manage and find solutions by themselves, if they're resourceful enough and not just waiting for me to feed them with a spoon, you know, the entire process. So I'm gonna give them a task that will not have the entire details, and I would want to see how they handle this. So I'll let them, for example, go on a certain listing on Amazon and ask them to read the reviews over there and find what people are complaining about, and you know, checking what the majority of people complain about the most, and then create like an action plan of how they'll create a better plan. Like, okay, if people are complaining about the material of this I don't know, of this machine, then, you know, how would you do to fix it, and why did you come up with this solution? And then we'll need to see how they think. Okay, first of all, they have to put effort into, they'll have to understand the question. They'll have to go and put the time into reading and really understanding this product, reading the reviews, understanding why people are complaining about it, see other reviews and other products, you know, competitors, what they're doing in order to do it better, and then, you know, and find solutions online of, you know, how to do a better product. I'll not just expect them to say, I'll just make it bigger. You know, that's not enough for us. You know, we want to see exactly like the plan of action of how they'll create a better product. And so this is the task. Remember, we're not really hiring them yet, but it's just one of the phases that we want to see, that they put the effort into reading, writing, being creative enough, and putting the time and effort just to be accepted to our company.
Okay, sounds really good. So any additional tips to share with us about this first question, or are we ready to see what's kind of the next main question sellers should really think about?
Well, I'll just going to say the thing, and then we'll move to the next question, is that we tried in the past to hire people with previous experience. I mean, that would be the easiest thing for us. If somebody came to us and say, I need somebody with, you know, 5 years experience in doing PPC, for example, then, you know, for us, nothing easier than, you know, so we have a recruitment department, you know, of more than 40 people over there. So it's very easy for us to look for resumes and hire people with 5-year experience on PPC, that they charge double, by the way. So we're going to charge double the customer. So, you know, for us, it's good. It's even more profitable. But we didn't get the same results. First of all, because you never know who taught this VA what. Even if you give them a task, they know how to pass this task, it will not show you exactly, you know, their knowledge. Plus, the knowledge that was on PPC, for example, on Amazon 5 years ago, has nothing to do with the knowledge needed to do PPC today. So you actually need somebody who knows what's going on now on PPC, and who will continue to develop with you over the next years to come, which you would not see so much with, you know, in 5 years experience of Amazon PPC VAs. Usually they think that they already know it all, and they're less eager to continue and learn new skills and new development and so on. They usually want to just work with you, add you to the resumes in order to find somebody else and add a little bit and ask a little bit more, because they already worked with another seller, you know, at least in the resume. And again, nobody's testing it. Show me the seller that called the other sellers, the employers of the, you know, the previous employees of that VA. Doesn't happen. So, you know, just trust them, and you pay them more because they work with more people and more time. You have to ask yourself the question, well, how come is it possible that they work with so many people over, you know, 5 years? I want to see a VA that was working with one big seller for 5 years, for example, and managed to grow this business, much more. And you will not see that because that VA will usually stay with the seller. So that's why we believe in hiring people from the beginning, training them correctly, supporting them, keeping them trained with all the updates.
Yeah, sounds really good, because in the end, it's like you're building a relationship, right? It's not just like work tasks. It's just much more to keep that person connected to your brand and to your company, and kind of, yeah, as I said, train that person in a way that he or she really takes care of what she has to do, and help to grow the business in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think we're good in this question. Let's go to the second question. The second question is more like practical. Okay, how do I pay my VA, and what are the common payment structures for VA? So obviously, I can answer here with our experience. We're paying people in the Philippines. All our VAs are all in the Philippines, and we're paying them directly. So when somebody's hiring a VA from us, they actually do not need to pay the VAs. It's us that are paying the VAs, the customers, the sellers, they pay us, and we pay the VAs. So when you work with us, you do not really need to handle with payments to the VAs. But it is important to know how it works in general. Usually, when you're working as a seller, you're working with a VA. That VA is not really your employee. He or she are working with you as freelancers. And as such, you should have a contract with them. And you should pay attention to what you write in the contract and decide exactly about the payment, the rate, and so on. And then when you're working with them, you have to decide how you're going to pay them. First of all, like if it's going to be an hourly rate or it's going to be a fixed salary for the month. Usually it's an hourly rate, and usually you decide on the schedule of the VA. And if not, then I would recommend you to do that this way. Not just to choose a certain amount and decide that this is the monthly rate, then you don't know really what the VA is doing or not doing, and you'll be asking yourself all the time if you're paying too much for the work that is being done. So the best way to do this is really like to pay per hour, so you can decide how many hours a day you want the VA to work with you. Again, not all sellers need a VA to work with a full-time job. For us, for example, the minimum would be 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you can hire people for a minimal amount of hours per day and then grow it from there. So you have to decide like how many hours a day and the schedule and how much you're gonna pay the VAs. Usually, by the way, if people are wondering, the rate that is accepted to pay VAs in the Philippines is usually between, I would say, $4 would be the pretty much between $4 and $8 to $9 an hour. Depends on the type of task that you want to pay the VA and what they're going to be doing for you and so on, and their qualities and their previous knowledge. So usually that's the case in here. Now, how do you pay them? You can either pay them by a bank transfer. We're using, for example, Pioneer. Pioneer is a very easy way to pay VAs in the Philippines because you can ask them to open their Pioneer account, and then if you're paid, especially if you're paid from Amazon to your by Pioneer, and if you have a Pioneer account, then you could be getting your payment from Amazon to your Pioneer account and then just transferring money from one Pioneer account to the other Pioneer account, which is your VA's Pioneer account, and therefore you not pay any fees. Otherwise, there will be between 2 to 5% fees over your payment. For example, if you're using PayPal, then PayPal would deduct about 4.5% of the amount. So your VA is going to tell you, wait a minute, I did not receive the amount that you were supposed to pay me. So you'd have to add 4.5% to the payment, okay? If you have a Pioneer account and the other one, your VA will have a Pioneer account, then there's actually no fees here. So it depends on this. You can also do a bank transfer, and there are also VAs that are paid using Wise. You can also get paid on Amazon using Wise, and then you can pay them in Filipino pesos. So you can just decide to convert and pay them directly in pesos to their bank account, which is very easy and comfortable for the VAs.
And what do you say about like if I would hire like a person for the first time? What would you recommend to do? Either like a bank transfer or maybe moving this collaboration to platform like Upwork or something where I can actually like have this pre-made kind of contract between me and the VA. and then also pay through that platform. But obviously, I think those platforms also take a pretty heavy percentage from the fees or like from the money transfers.
Yeah, you're right. I would not immediately jump to work with a platform just because they offer the option of payment. Because, for example, if you're looking at Upwork or online jobs, then okay, you can pay your VAs through that platform, and like you said, they get a very decent commission out of it. But there is no security here. I mean, they still don't know anything about the VA. The VA could be saying something which is completely not true about their knowledge or experience, and then you would still need to pay that through the platform. So it's not something like this. This is why I usually decide, first of all, don't pay your VAs in advance. Even though a lot of times they would ask that to be paid in advance, you'd pay them after they've already worked. You could decide in the beginning, because also imagine that in the other side, the VAs are going to be suspicious about you as well, not just you suspicious about the VA. So you could decide to pay them not like after a full month of work, but after, for example, 2 weeks of work, or even in 1 week. Pay them like in the beginning, every week, in the end of the week, pay them for the hours and work that they did. And then once you establish trust, then you can pay them, okay, now I'll pay you every 2 weeks or so, or even if it's comfortable for them, then you can pay them every month. We pay our VAs, for example, every 2 weeks, but we do not pay them in advance. We always pay them after the 2 weeks are done. So that's the way it's accepted to be paid in the Philippines, like every 2 weeks and not every month.
Okay, very good points. And for them receiving a payment like this, like through a bank transfer or Pioneer transfer, everything is okay for them? Or is there anything else that sellers would need to kind of think about or take care about?
Well, it depends on the particular case. For them, if they have, for example, a Pioneer account and they'd like to withdraw the money to their bank account, then they would pay a commission as well over there. It's usually like between 1% to 2%, depends on the terms with the company. However, so either they'll ask you to add this amount to their paycheck, but it's still lower compared to other options for you to transfer. Or they could use, for example, as Pioneer, they could issue a Pioneer card and use the card from their account. So that way they, they do not need to pay this commission. They use their account to, with a card, and therefore they save the commission every time they're using the card over there. It's a virtual card that they can use and do shoppings and stuff from it. So it depends on on your on what you agree with your VA. Another question that people are asking us a lot about payments is about a 13th salary, and also like other benefits such as Social Security. And
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I would say this: you should know that a 13th salary is obligatory in the Philippines as long as you're working full-time job for a Filipino company in the Philippines. So if you're a Filipino and you're working in an office in the Philippines, working for a Filipino company, then they would need to pay a 13th salary as part of the law. However, when you're hiring people as freelancers and you're not a Filipino company and you're only hiring them, it could be full-time job, it could be part-time job, but they're actually working with you as freelancers, which means that they have, it's a different contract. Then you would not have to pay them a 13th salary. So you should know this, even if the VA will tell you that you have to, you know that you don't. But it is still something very accepted in the Philippines. And imagine that VA will be also looking left and right to their members, families, friends who are working in the Philippines, and they will get a 13th salary. So you would want them to be happy with working with you as well. So you should consider either a 13th salary or maybe, let's say, some sort of a bonus for Christmas. That's what we do. We give the VAs a bonus, our staff, a bonus for Christmas. So, and that you can always decide, to build it according to their, how good they were and their commitment to you and their performance over the year. So it's not like something automated, but it's something that you give them as a feedback of their loyalty. So that's something that I would do.
Okay, thank you very much for highlighting that, because obviously, if your salary is based in Europe or US, and hasn't worked before with anyone from Philippines. It's really difficult to know all of those cultural differences and customs or traditions beforehand. I do think we do have other videos on our Orange Klik channel we have recorded earlier with you, I think, where we had maybe went over similar things regarding like cultural factors to kind of consider knowing how to make the partnership work a little bit better. But very clear information regarding the different payment structures and opportunities. I think that's pretty clear, actually. Now, when you're kind of highlighting it, I think it's clear, but I do understand how probably a lot of questions and a lot of sellers have many questions around it, because if you're doing this for the first time, of course you will have questions, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's. I think if we're done on this, let's move to the third question. And that's obviously about how can I trust my VA and that my VA is actually working.
I love it. I think this is something that a lot of sellers are like having hard time thinking if they should be like super controlling, or should they like how should they even set up this remote collaboration with their VAs?
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny enough because a lot of people are would do things regarding trust issues with their VA that they would not be doing if they hired somebody to sit with them in the office, even though they have no idea what that person is doing in the office, in their own corner with their computers. And you would not, look to see screenshots of that employee sitting in your office every 5 minutes or so, or recording their screen or looking at what they're looking at or getting statistics. However, you should know that all these things are possible. I mean, if you are not trusting your VA, maybe at the beginning of your relationship with your VA, you should know that these tools are available and they're very advanced. I mean, the Time Doctor is one, HubSpot is another one, and there are others that really allows you to be the big brother and see exactly everything that you want in the work of the VA. You could, for example, get screenshots, random screenshots of the work of the VA. You can see when they logged in, when they logged out, if they during the time of work they actually worked or not. For example, how do you know if somebody's working? If they're moving their mouse, or if they're typing on the computer. So you'd know that. Obviously, maybe now they're reading something in front of the computer, so they're not moving anything. But that's like, let's say 10% of the time, and then the rest of the time they should be typing something. So if you get an alert that your VA, it's already 3 hours now and your VA hasn't moved the mouse or, typed a single, word on the computer, then you could actually decide to get an alert about it. Same thing is if your VA is logging in from another location, which is not his or her house. For example, you should know that they're now working from a coffee shop, or they're on vacation or something. So there are a lot of things that you can be the big brother and see all this. If you ask me personally, I'm not really interested in these things. My time, I think, is more important than looking behind the shoulder of my VA. I prefer to invest the time in two things. One, in hiring the good people. Meaning that if you hire somebody just based on their resumes, then you don't know anything about their commitment potential and if you can trust them or not. And therefore, you're always looking behind their shoulder to see that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's one thing. So I'd put more effort into finding good people that you can trust. The second thing is to work with them based on targets and goals and work with a system. So if you have a system, if you're building their schedule correctly, if they know exactly what they should be doing each and every hour of their work, and if you have SOPs for how they should do their work correctly, if you're using tools such as Monday or Trello or Asana to control the tasks of your VA, if you give goals to your VA for the end of the week, what they should be doing in the end of the month, what they should be trying to get, what would be a good work for them and what would not. And all these things are, in my opinion, much more important compared to just looking every time to see what they're doing. If you manage to build it correctly, then your VA should be doing the work and you should not be looking every single minute of what they're doing. You should be focusing on much more important things.
Okay, I see. But do you have any tips like how to kind of have a kind of consistent communication with the VA, but not in a way that, again, it would take time away from me as a seller? Like kind of to be in touch, but like not too much, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say that it's very important to set specific boundaries in the beginning. For example, to set exactly the time, the schedule of work of the VA. So, for example, if you decided your VA is going to be working for you 3 hours a day, and you say, okay, these are my tasks. Actually, I don't really care when you're doing it as long as it's done. I would not start this way. Okay, it sounds reasonable, and you say as long as it's done, then I don't care. But in the beginning, it is important that you set a specific way of work. So I would say to the VA exactly like, okay, let's agree now that you're working 3 hours a day from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time zone, for example. When you start to work, you log in, you send me like a WhatsApp message to say that you're starting your work. When you finish your work, you send me like another WhatsApp message saying that you ended your work. And I should receive from you an email by the end of the day of exactly the type of task that you were working on during your shift, and if you manage to do everything according to the plan. If that's the case, and you know that your VA, logged in, logged out, send you a report in the end of the day, then you should not really be, well, except for the first, week or two that you're, making sure that everything is, that the VA is actually working on the way that you expected. But after that is done, then you should not be, over there all the time working together with your VA on things. The VA should be working on other things, and you should be doing other things. It is important, like I would say, like once in a week, and to jump on a Zoom call with your VA, so you can see what the VA, in their environment, to be more personal, to ask questions that are not just work, to tell him or her about your feeling from about their work and so on, but not on you should not do it, I think, every day and spend hours with your VA all the time.
Okay, sounds really good. Thanks for sharing these tips with us. Anything else regarding to this point you would like to share with our audience?
I think patience. I think you should hire patiently. You should know that you're looking for the right people. Don't just look at 3 CVs and choose one of them, or interview 3 people and choose one out of them, and that's it. And then you prevent 80% of the problems that are that sellers are facing in this situation. And then if you're already there in this situation, I would not go and become, fanatic about, knowing every little thing that your VA is doing. It's more important to set specific borders in the beginning and give your VA a structure of how to do it correctly.
Sounds really good. I think patience overall is a very good thing Amazon sellers could practice regarding their business model and everything that is usually going around their business.
Yeah. So I think we're good with this question. Let's go to the next question.
Sure.
All right. So what tasks should I delegate to my VA for maximum impact? And I talked a little bit about it in the beginning. So a lot of people are wondering what they should be doing and which tasks they should be giving to their VA, if it's too early to to hire a VA or not, because they don't have a lot of things to give their VA and so on. So again, I go to what I said in the beginning. My opinion is that you should delegate as soon as possible, the moment that you know how things should look like in your business. For example, on Amazon, you should be doing this yourself in the beginning, so you know that Seller Central is complicated, that about the reports, about the things over there. You know how to do a shipment plan, for example, and inventory management before you expect somebody else to do it for you. But that's the case, for example, on Seller Central. On social media, I would not expect somebody, a seller, to be, a master on social media just in order to hire a VA. So, and many sellers, they do not know anything about social media. They just know that they want to have social media presence set. So they hire a VA. And you should not wait until your business reaches 100K a month just in order to hire a VA for that. I think it's an investment. Like any investment in your business, you should be investing in manpower and hiring people in order to scale faster. So I think, again, what I said in the beginning, do not hire one person to do everything. Decide on where you want to go and do it slowly. So if you start by social media, for example, you want to be on TikTok Shop, then hire a social media VA to do that. Later on, when you're feeling confident and you already have procedures and everything is working in place, then, grow to focus on PPC and hire a PPC VA to do that. Again, you don't have to hire people full-time job every time to do these tasks for you, but it will be different type of people. So the things that I think are the most tasks to be delegated, I would divide them into topics. So PPC VAs, for example, they would definitely handle all your everyday activity that's regarding to Amazon PPC, creating campaigns, listing optimization, keyword research, ads management, ad groups management. If you're going into Walmart, then it's going to be the same on Walmart's the PPC. It's going to be brand awareness inside of PPC. Basically, everything connected to optimization of your listings not your optimizations of your campaigns on Sales Central. That's going to be a PPC VA to do all these tasks. It's a task of a minimum of 3 hours a day, even if you have one product, okay? And that's from our experience. It sounds like you don't, if you're doing maybe 1 hour a week now with your product, and you think, God, why should I hire a PPC VA to work for 3 hours a day when I do it myself for 1 hour a day? You'd be surprised to see how many things could be improving in your business when you have somebody dedicated to sitting 3 hours a day on your PPC. You start to see more traffic going in, more sessions, more clicks, and more sales coming out of it. And you need also the time for the VA to communicate together with you every day, doing the reports for you and analyzing what's going on in your account. So that's a PPC VA. A social media VA would be more if you want to start creating brand awareness and see activity on, somebody posting on your behalf on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. It could be working with influencers. That's a huge task. A huge task for social media VA. TikTok Shop becoming huge also now for Americans and UK sellers. So everything related to social media, and these are tasks for social media VAs. Amazon VAs, it's all the everyday work that you can think of on Sales Central. It could be listing creation, it could be keyword management, it could be indexing checking, it could be flat files, it could be customer service, it could be shipments, inventory management, you name it, like all the everyday work, reports, refunds, reimbursements from Amazon, all that are tasks to be delegated to a VA. So as you can see, there's a lot of things here that you can delegate to the VA, but it's not the same VA. Think of where you want to start and focus there.
Okay, I think you pretty much covered everything that sellers could kind of delegate away. Is there something you would not recommend to delegate to VAs, at least like in the beginning?
Yeah, I always ask myself this question. I'm trying as much as I can to delegate almost everything to my VAs. We have over 700 VAs at VA Philippines. Not all of them are, my personal VAs, obviously, but I have our staff VA that are working directly for VAA, and I try to delegate as much of the work that I used to do in the beginning to the VAs. However, I always ask myself the one question: is this task that I want to delegate now is something that they could do, meaning that somebody else with the right training, with the right knowledge, with the right attitude could be do instead of me? Or is this task is really something that only me as the owner of the business, as somebody that could, only I would have the answer for it. Only I know where I want to take this business in the next, 5 years to come and so on. Then this task is only for me. For example, like being here with you. I think it's important that, if we're talking to sellers, then I would not send a VA. It would be interesting though, to send, one of our managers to talk and to give this insights from a VA perspective. However, I do think that as a seller and as an owner of a business who delegated staff to VAs, I would be the one to do it. So I think it's important for me to to be here and spend this time to help Amazon sellers. So this is a question that I ask myself, but I do it all the time in the business. I always ask myself, is this something that I could delegate? I would want to delegate as much as possible to the VAs, not the opposite. I would not want to say all the time, this I don't want to delegate, this I don't want to delegate, it's too risky, it's too risky. I always ask myself, how can I delegate this? How can I give this person more tasks instead of me? And only if I see that really this is not something that I could delegate because it's related to the, sense of understanding of where I want to take this business forward, and only me as the owner of the business can take these decisions, then I do not delegate. Otherwise, I try to find a way to delegate. Sometimes the answer is that, yes, I would want to delegate it, but not yet. I need to prepare some more things before delegating this task, and then I work on the process.
Okay, makes sense. Very good thoughts. And yeah, glad that you're also a seller and obviously a business owner, because like it's very interesting to hear these insights, I think, from let's say straight from the source. And obviously you are working together with so many VAs, so you are very aware of like how they work, what questions they have in their heads, but again, like what also sellers usually ask or would like to ask from a person like you. And I think you do have one more question to cover with us that Amazon sellers usually ask from you or would like to ask from someone.
Yeah, and that's the last question. Like, what challenges might I face when working with VAs, and how do I overcome them? So I think it's a summary of everything we talked about in the beginning. We talked about patience, understanding that this is something that you're hiring for the long term, and therefore you should be patient all the time. You should be patient when you're hiring the right people, understanding that this is a process that doesn't end in a week to find the right people. Training the VAs is something that you have to build for the long run. Try to build the SOPs correctly and record things and have the VAs create these SOPs for you. Otherwise, every time that, if a VA will have to resign or anything like that, you'll have to start all over from the beginning. So build here a structure for the long period. Don't be so impressed, and so depressed when getting some reasons why the VA cannot work with you. Things happen, and maybe in the Philippines, the VA would not be able to work on certain days, or there actually are typhoons and storms and internet problems and so on. Not only in the Philippines, but really when working with people offshore. So you should be prepared for that, and it's okay. And don't think immediately to go back to doing everything yourself in the business. And I think for the long run, understanding that without delegating to VAs, then you'd be you'd have a ceiling that you'll never be able to cross. And therefore you should always decide that, okay, there are challenges, there are problems, but it's always better to work again and again on perfecting these challenges and getting a better support from VAs compared to going back to step one where you're doing everything yourself. And at VA Philippines, actually, we're trying to help sellers exactly with all these challenges. So, for example, the challenges that we know they're facing, because I used to face these problems myself in the beginning. So, for example, like how to build a schedule of work to the VA or which mistakes to avoid. Now, before connecting a VA with the seller, we connect the seller with a customer experience manager who's going to go deeper to understanding their needs and helping them to prepare themselves for the work with the VA before actually doing the connection between the seller and the VA, and supporting them along this time always to make sure that things are working as smooth as possible, not just leaving them with the VA and hoping for the best. And so we're trying to to help sellers exactly with these challenges.
Okay, and obviously you make it sound quite clear and I would say straightforward to hire a VA as a seller himself or herself. But can you expand a little bit more on how it is working together with you and hiring a VA from your company, how the onboarding process looks like and how the collaboration works?
Yeah, sure. So basically when hiring a VA from us, it's very simple. I mean, we always have VAs available because we continuously recruit and train VAs all the time. So onboarding usually takes about a week from your go ahead. Usually the first step would be to schedule a call with us to understand a little bit deeper exactly how we work and understanding what's the best solution for you specifically understanding about all the different types of VAs. So I would say the first step would be to engage in a call with us, and you get even the first 10 hours free with your VA. So that would be the first step. Now, basically after that, what we do is when we finish all the bureaucracy of contract and payment and so on, then we help you to decide, okay, which type of VA you need. We help you to decide how many hours a day you need the VA to be working with you. And then we connect you with the customer experience manager to work with you, to prepare you for the arrival of the VA, and then connecting with the VA herself. And I try to give a little bit of understanding about the different types of VAs that we have. We have Amazon VAs, PPC VAs, social media VAs, executive assistants, graphic designers, video editors, and also Walmart VAs. So basically, you just need to choose like where do you need help, and then we'll take it from there and help you with that. And basically, you don't have to hire for a full-time job. The minimum with us is 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it's flexible. You can always decide that you want to stop this or test this and so on. So it's very, very flexible.
Okay, very good. And you have the email address also here where you can reach out to Gilad and his team. And we're also going to put the link into the video description below. I think the session has been so full of different insights, but still, if you're watching this video and you have reached this point, then if you have more questions for Gilad, then leave them as a comment under the video, because then we can ask you to come back and answer those additional questions again, because we're here to help you to succeed. So hopefully you are also learning a lot from this video. So Gilad, any final takeaways to share with the sellers to encourage them to work with VAs and delegate some tasks away from their shoulders?
Well, I think the idea is to, there was a podcast way in the beginning of Scott. I forgot. I think it was The Amazing Seller. That was the name of it. And this is it was the first podcast that I've ever listened to on Amazon. When I used to sell on Amazon, it was like 7-8 years ago. And he always said, no matter what, just take action. And I think it's super important. People are reflecting about hiring VAs, delegating, where this is the right time or not, where do I have all the processes and SOPs in place, or do I have to build them before the VA? I think, just get started. It can be with us, it could be hiring a VA and learn from, and learn from it, from this experience and so on. But take action, start this, because that's really the key. And I'm saying this looking at big sellers that are working with us, and that they're always looking to give more and more tasks to their VAs so they could continue and grow their business. And that's my tip to you, understanding that this is a key factor into scaling your business. So don't say tomorrow, don't say, I'll do it when I get to X amount of sales per month, take action.
Great point. And also, sellers watching us, if you now took action based on this video, also let us know in the comments so we can be motivating each other to, just take action and not wait for I don't know what. Because in the end, it's up to us how our business is succeeding or not. So Gilad, thank you so much once more for joining me today. It was great to have this discussion with you about VAs, and I do hope to see you soon again at our Orange Klik YouTube channel.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye, LISETT.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and you will get some ideas how you can run your Amazon business easier by introducing few VAs who can help you with different tasks in your business. If you want to find the best VAs for your business, reach out to VA of Philippines. Find the link below in the description. And before you go, don't forget to click like for this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. And now I recommend you to watch another video with Gilad, who shares 10 best tasks to delegate to a virtual assistant. So check this out.